Step into a world of enchantment and wonder with Midnight Murmurs. Join us on a journey through a magical forest where a cute 12-year-old fox girl with 9 tails discovers her true strength and learns to trust in her own abilities. With a focus on character development, world building, and immersive storytelling, this fairy tale is sure to captivate and delight. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more captivating stories and magical adventures. Chapter 1: The Fox's Quest. Ember stood at the edge of the forest, her red curly hair blowing in the breeze. Her 9 tails twitched nervously behind her, and she gripped the handle of her staff tightly. She had been chosen by her tribe to retrieve a rare herb that grew deep within the forest. The herb was said to possess powerful healing properties, and Ember knew that her success could mean the difference between life and death for many in her tribe. As she stepped into the forest, Ember's senses were immediately assaulted by the rich smells of earth and moss. The forest was alive with the chirping of birds and the rustling of leaves. Ember took a deep breath, inhaling the scent of the forest, and felt a sense of calm wash over her. She had been trained for this quest her entire life. Her parents had been renowned fox warriors, and Ember had inherited their courage and determination. She had spent countless hours studying maps and learning the ways of the forest. She knew the risks involved, but she was determined to succeed. As she walked deeper into the forest, Ember's eyes scanned her surroundings. She knew that danger lurked around every corner. Wolves roamed the forest, and bears were known to attack travelers who strayed too far from the path. But Ember was not afraid. She had trained for this, and she knew that she could handle whatever the forest threw her way. As she navigated through the dense underbrush, Ember's ears perked up at the sound of rustling in the bushes. She froze, her hand on the hilt of her sword. Out of the bushes burst a small, mischievous creature with a bushy tail and a playful expression. The creature seemed to be taunting her, chattering and dancing just out of her reach. Ember realized with a start that the creature had stolen her pouch containing the map to the herb. She knew that she had to catch the creature if she was to complete her quest. She set off in pursuit, her staff clutched tightly in her hand. The creature darted in and out of the trees, leading Ember on a wild chase through the forest. Ember's heart raced as she struggled to keep up. She felt a bead of sweat trickle down her forehead, but she ignored it, her eyes locked on the creature. As they ran, Ember noticed that the forest was changing. The trees were taller and more twisted, their branches reaching out like gnarled fingers. The air grew thick and humid, and Ember felt as though she were swimming through a sea of molasses. The chase continued for what felt like hours, until Ember finally managed to corner the creature in a small clearing. The creature chattered and danced, trying to evade her, but Ember was determined. She lunged forward, her staff raised high. As she swung her staff at the creature, she felt a sudden pain in her arm. She stumbled and fell to the ground, her vision swimming. When she looked up, she saw the creature standing over her, a mischievous glint in its eye. "You are a worthy opponent," the creature said, its voice light and musical. "But you are not the only one searching for the herb. There are others who would see it fall into their hands." With those words, the creature vanished into the underbrush, leaving Ember alone in the clearing. Ember sat up, her head spinning. She knew that the creature was right. She was not the only one searching for the herb. She would have to be more careful if she was to succeed. As she walked through the bustling marketplace, Yara couldn't help but feel a sense of wonder and curiosity. The stalls were filled with all manner of goods, from colorful silks to fragrant spices, and the sounds and smells were almost overwhelming. But despite the chaos around her, Yara was focused on her goal, finding the perfect gift for her mother. She weaved her way through the crowds, her keen senses alert for anything that might catch her eye. As she passed by a fruit seller, a ripe mango caught her attention, and she paused to take a closer look. The vendor, a portly rabbit with a friendly smile, offered her a taste, and Yara accepted, savoring the juicy sweetness. "Delicious, isn't it?" the rabbit said, grinning. "Yes, it's wonderful," Yara agreed, returning the smile. "Are you looking for something in particular, miss?" he asked. "A gift for my mother," Yara replied. "It's her birthday tomorrow, and I want to find something special." The rabbit nodded thoughtfully. "Well, you've come to the right place. I have just the thing." He reached behind his stall and produced a small wooden box, intricately carved and decorated with jewels. "This is a music box, enchanted to play the sweetest melodies. It's one of a kind, and I'm sure your mother will love it." Yara examined the box closely, running her fingers over the smooth surface. It was beautiful, and the thought of her mother's smile when she opened it warmed her heart. "I'll take it," she said, handing over a handful of coins. As she made her way back home, Yara couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction. She had found the perfect gift, and she knew her mother would cherish it. But as she turned the corner onto her street, she noticed something out of place. The door to her house was open, and there were signs of a struggle inside. Yara's heart raced as she crept inside, her senses alert for danger. She tiptoed through the living room, her eyes darting around for any sign of her family. But there was no one there, no sign of her mother, her father, or her little brother. Panic rising in her chest, Yara raced up the stairs to her parents' bedroom. But as she pushed open the door, she found only an empty bed and a note scrawled in a shaky hand. "We have taken your family," it read. "If you want to see them again, bring us the fox girl." Yara's mind raced as she tried to make sense of the situation. Who would want to kidnap her family, and why? And what did they want with her? She knew she had to act fast. With a sense of determination burning in her eyes, she set off into the night, determined to rescue her family and uncover the truth behind their abduction. Chapter 2: The Forest of Enchantment. Kira stepped forward, her fox ears alert and her eyes scanning the surroundings. She was in the heart of the Forest of Enchantment, a place that few dared to venture into. The trees towered over her, their branches twisting and bending in unusual ways. The ground was covered with a thick layer of moss, and the air was heavy with the scent of wildflowers and earth. Kira's dress, made of the finest silk and embroidered with intricate patterns, fluttered around her legs as she walked. Her 9 tails swished behind her, revealing her excitement and anticipation. As she moved deeper into the forest, Kira heard a soft rustling behind her. She turned around and saw a deer standing in the shadows, its eyes watching her with curiosity. Kira approached the deer cautiously, knowing that not all creatures in the forest were friendly. The deer stepped forward and lowered its head, as if inviting Kira to touch it. Kira reached out and stroked the deer's neck, feeling the soft fur under her fingers. "Hello there," she said softly. "I'm Kira." "What's your name?" The deer looked up at her with wise eyes. "My name is Arwen," it said, its voice barely above a whisper. "I have been watching you, Kira. Your journey is an important one." Kira raised an eyebrow. "How do you know my name?" Arwen smiled gently. "The forest has a way of telling us things. It whispers secrets in our ears if we are willing to listen." Kira nodded, her eyes still fixed on the deer. "I'm looking for a rare herb that can cure my mother's illness. Do you know where I can find it?" Arwen nodded. "I do. But the forest is full of dangers, Kira. You must be careful, and you must be wise." Kira frowned. "What kind of dangers?" Arwen looked around, as if searching for words. "There are those who would use the herb for their own purposes, Kira. There are those who would harm you to get it. And there are those who would simply delight in your misery." Kira's eyes widened. "I can handle myself," she said fiercely. Arwen chuckled. "I have no doubt of that, Kira. But the forest is full of surprises. You never know what might be lurking behind the next tree." Kira took a deep breath and stepped forward, her determination unwavering. "I have no choice, Arwen. My mother needs this herb, and I will stop at nothing to find it." Arwen nodded solemnly. "Very well, Kira. I will guide you through the forest, and I will protect you as best I can. But remember, the greatest weapon you have is your own wits and your own strength." Kira smiled gratefully. "Thank you, Arwen. I won't forget your words." Together, Kira and Arwen made their way deeper into the forest. The trees grew thicker and the shadows grew longer, but Kira's resolve did not falter. She was on a mission, and nothing would stop her. As they walked, Kira heard a faint humming in the distance. She paused, her ears twitching. "Do you hear that?" she asked Arwen. Arwen nodded. "Yes. That is the sound of the fairies, Kira. They are playful creatures, but they can be mischievous. We must be careful." The fox girl had been walking for hours, and the sun had started to set behind the trees. She knew she needed to find a place to rest for the night. She scanned her surroundings and saw a small clearing ahead with a small stream running through it. She made her way towards it and sat down by the stream. She dipped her hand in the water and splashed it on her face, feeling refreshed. As she sat there, she noticed a faint sound coming from behind the trees. She stood up and cautiously made her way towards the sound. She pushed aside the branches and saw a group of animals gathered around a small clearing. They were all staring at something in the middle of the clearing. The fox girl approached them and saw a young deer lying on the ground, injured. The animals had formed a circle around the deer, trying to protect it from any predators. The fox girl knew she had to help. She kneeled down next to the deer and examined its wounds. She had some medicinal herbs in her bag and started applying them to the deer's wounds. She worked quietly, not wanting to startle the other animals. As she worked, she noticed that one of the animals was watching her closely. It was a wise old owl, perched on a nearby branch. The owl had seen many things in its long life and had learned to read people and animals alike. The owl spoke up, "You have a kind heart, little fox girl. Not many would stop to help a wounded animal, especially not a predator like yourself." The fox girl nodded. "I believe that all creatures, big and small, deserve to be treated with kindness and respect. We are all part of the same world." The other animals nodded in agreement, and the owl continued, "You are on a journey, aren't you? A journey to find something very important." The fox girl was surprised. "How did you know?" The owl chuckled. "I have been around for a long time, my dear. I have learned to see beyond what is in front of me. Your determination and courage give you away." The fox girl smiled. "Yes, I am on a journey to find the missing pieces of a magical amulet. It is the only way to save my family and my village from a terrible curse." The animals listened intently as the fox girl told them about her quest. They were all amazed by her bravery and determination. The owl spoke again. "You are not alone in your journey. We will help you in any way we can. The journey will not be easy, but with friends by your side, you will find the strength to overcome any obstacle." The fox girl felt a sense of warmth and gratitude wash over her. She had not expected to find friends so quickly in her journey. She thanked the animals and promised to help them in any way she could. As the night fell, the animals settled down around the injured deer. The fox girl lay down next to them, feeling safe and protected. She knew that her journey was far from over, but for the first time in a long time, she felt hopeful. The owl hooted softly and the other animals closed their eyes, ready for sleep. The fox girl closed her eyes too, but her mind was still buzzing with excitement and anticipation for the adventures to come. She knew that she had a long way to go, but with each step, she was getting closer to her goal. The moon rose high in the sky and the stars shone brightly. The forest was alive with the sounds of creatures big and small. And in the middle of it all, the fox girl and her newfound friends slept peacefully, ready to face whatever the future held for them. Chapter 3: The Fire Swamp. Rena stood at the edge of the dark and foreboding forest, gazing out at the flicker of flames in the distance. The acrid scent of smoke filled her nostrils, and she knew that she must cross the fire swamp to continue her journey. As she entered the swamp, Rena felt the ground tremble beneath her feet. She heard the crackling of flames and the hiss of boiling mud, and she knew that danger was all around her. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, her brilliant red eyes scanning the landscape for any sign of peril. "Hey there, little fox girl," a mischievous voice called out from the shadows. Rena turned to see a tiny fire sprite perched on a nearby rock. "What brings you to the fire swamp?" I'm on a quest, Rena replied, trying to sound confident. I must cross the swamp to reach the other side. Ha! That won't be easy, the sprite said with a laugh. But I can help you out. Follow me. Rena followed the sprite as it flitted through the maze of flames, dodging streams of molten lava and sidestepping geysers of fire. Along the way, they encountered a wise old tortoise who warned them of the dangers ahead, and a curious flock of fireflies who offered to light their way. As they approached the heart of the swamp, Rena could feel the heat intensifying. The ground shook beneath her feet, and she saw a towering figure in the distance, wreathed in flames. That's the fire demon, the sprite whispered. He's the one who's been causing all this trouble. Rena nodded grimly. She knew that she must face the demon if she hoped to complete her quest. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, her determination clear in her expression. Who dares to challenge me? The fire demon bellowed. His voice was like the crackling of flames, and Rena could feel the heat radiating off him. I do, Rena said, her voice steady. The demon roared and lunged at her, but Rena was ready. She dodged his fiery claws and struck back with her own fierce attacks. The battle was long and grueling, but Rena never lost focus. She knew that she must be strong if she hoped to emerge victorious. Finally, with a mighty roar, Rena struck the final blow. The demon let out a shriek of agony and crumbled to the ground, the flames extinguished. Rena stood there for a moment, catching her breath. She knew that she had accomplished something great, and she felt a sense of pride in her achievement. She looked out at the fire swamp, knowing that she had overcome its dangers and emerged stronger for it. Well done, little fox girl, the sprite said, perched on her shoulder. You have shown yourself to be brave and strong. Rena nodded, feeling a sense of satisfaction. She knew that she still had a long way to go on her journey, but she felt confident that she could face whatever lay ahead. Chapter 4: The Fox Girl's Trial. Yumi stood at the entrance of the grand temple, her red curly hair blowing in the gentle breeze. She had been searching for answers about her 9 tails and how to control them, and she believed that the temple held the key. Yumi looked up at the towering entrance, taking in the intricate details of the temple's architecture. She felt a sense of awe and respect for the ancient building. As she approached the entrance, Yumi was greeted by a group of stern-looking monks. They wore long, flowing robes and had shaven heads. Yumi stood tall, meeting their gaze with her own strong eyes, brilliant red eyes that shimmered in the sunlight. One of the monks stepped forward and spoke in a deep, measured voice. Welcome, young one. I sense that you seek knowledge about your powers. Yumi nodded, impressed by the monk's intuition. You must complete a trial in order to gain access to the sacred knowledge you seek, the monk continued. It will not be easy, but if you are determined and persevere, you will find the answers you seek. Yumi accepted the challenge without hesitation. She knew that this trial would test her strength, agility, and intelligence, and she was eager to prove herself. The first challenge was a physical one. Yumi was led to a large room filled with obstacles and traps. She had to navigate her way through the maze, avoiding pitfalls and leaping over obstacles. Yumi moved with grace and speed, her pretty fox ears perked up in concentration as she surveyed the terrain. She moved carefully, using her keen senses and quick reflexes to avoid danger. After what felt like hours, Yumi emerged from the maze, sweat glistening on her forehead. The second challenge was a mental one. Yumi was given a series of riddles and puzzles to solve. She concentrated hard, using her intelligence and wit to decipher the clues. Yumi approached each puzzle with a determined expression, her curly red hair framing her face. She furrowed her brow in thought, her 9 tails swishing back and forth behind her. Eventually, Yumi solved the puzzles, earning the respect of the monks. The third challenge was a battle against a group of fierce opponents. Yumi was given a wooden sword and faced off against the opponents, who wielded real weapons. Yumi moved with fluidity and skill, her dress swirling around her as she fought. Her pretty fox ears twitched as she listened to the sounds of her opponents' movements, anticipating their next moves. Yumi's 9 tails whipped back and forth as she fought, her eyes never leaving her opponents. In the end, Yumi emerged victorious, earning the admiration of the monks and her fellow temple visitors. The final challenge was a one-on-one battle against a powerful opponent. Yumi faced off against a sorcerer whose dark eyes glinted with malice. Yumi raised her wooden sword, her eyes meeting those of her opponent. The battle was intense, with spells and swords flying back and forth. Yumi moved with grace and agility, dodging the sorcerer's attacks and striking back with her own. The sorcerer was powerful, but Yumi was determined. In the end, Yumi emerged victorious, having discovered a new level of strength within herself. As Yumi emerged from the temple, she felt a sense of accomplishment and pride. She had overcome the challenges and earned the sacred knowledge she sought. Yumi's journey had not just been about finding answers, but about discovering who. The fox girl was walking in the forest, her footsteps light and her ears alert. She was on a mission to find the next clue that would lead her closer to her goal. Her dress, despite its intricate details, was practical enough to allow her easy movement. Her tails swished behind her, their vibrant colors standing out against the greenery of the forest. As she walked, she took in her surroundings, her eyes scanning the area for any signs of danger or any clues that could lead her to her next destination. She was determined and focused, her mind set on her objective. She had to find the next clue no matter what. Suddenly, she heard a rustling in the bushes nearby. Her ears perked up and she turned towards the sound, ready to face whatever danger might come her way. But to her surprise, a small creature emerged from the bushes. It was a tiny squirrel, its bushy tail twitching as it looked up at her with curious eyes. The fox girl relaxed a little, realizing that the squirrel was harmless. She knelt down to get a closer look at it, her eyes softening as she saw how cute and innocent it was. The squirrel seemed to sense her friendly demeanor and it approached her, sniffing at her hand. The fox girl smiled and gently stroked the squirrel's fur, feeling a sense of warmth and comfort in its softness. She knew that even in the midst of her dangerous journey, there were still moments of beauty and wonder to be found. As she continued on her way, the fox girl began to think about her journey so far. She had faced many obstacles and challenges, but she had also met many kind and helpful creatures along the way. Each encounter had taught her something new and had helped her to grow and develop as a person. She thought back to the wise old owl she had met in the first part of her journey. The owl had given her invaluable advice and had taught her about the importance of patience and determination. Then there was the mischievous raccoon who had led her on a wild chase through the forest, teaching her about the value of quick thinking and adaptability. As she walked, lost in thought, the fox girl suddenly heard a faint humming noise in the distance. She perked up her ears and listened carefully, trying to determine the source of the sound. It sounded like someone was singing a beautiful melody, and the fox girl felt drawn towards it. She quickened her pace, her tail swishing behind her as she followed the sound. Soon, she came to a clearing in the forest where a group of animals had gathered. They were all listening to a young deer who was singing a beautiful song, her voice pure and clear. The fox girl approached the group, feeling a sense of awe and wonder at the beautiful scene before her. She sat down among the other animals, her eyes fixed on the deer as she sang. For a moment, everything else fell away and the fox girl was lost in the beauty of the moment. As the song ended, the other animals broke into applause, their voices mingling with the sound of chirping birds and rustling leaves. The fox girl felt a sense of gratitude and appreciation for the beauty of the world around her. She knew that even in the midst of her dangerous journey, there were still moments of joy and wonder to be found. With renewed determination, the fox girl stood up and continued on her journey, her eyes fixed on her goal. She knew that there were still many obstacles to overcome and many challenges to face, but she also knew that she had the strength and courage to see it through. Chapter 5: The Power of the Nine-Tailed Fox. Akira stood at the edge of the vast, open plain, her brilliant red eyes scanning the horizon. The wind ruffled her red curly hair and the intricate folds of her beautifully detailed dress, and her 9 foxtails twitched with anticipation. She had traveled far and overcome many challenges to reach this point, but she knew that her journey was not yet over. She had come to this place to claim her destiny as a powerful 9-tailed fox, and she would not rest until she had succeeded. As Akira took her first steps onto the plain, she felt a surge of energy coursing through her body. She knew that she must summon all of her courage and strength to face the final challenge that lay ahead. She looked out across the plain and saw a series of obstacles and challenges that she would have to navigate in order to reach her goal. A field of thorns lay before her, sharp and treacherous. In the distance, she could see a pack of wolves prowling, their eyes fixed on her. And beyond them, a wide river flowed, its currents hidden and dangerous. Akira took a deep breath and stepped forward, determined to overcome the obstacles in her path. As she approached the field of thorns, she felt a sharp pain in her paw. She looked down and saw that a thorn had pierced her skin. She winced but did not falter, knowing that she must keep moving forward. Suddenly, a young rabbit appeared beside her. "Follow me," the rabbit said. "I know a hidden path through the thorns." Akira followed the rabbit as it led her through a narrow gap in the thorns. She could hear the wolves growling in the distance, their eyes fixed on her. But she kept moving forward, trusting in her own strength and in the advice of her new friend. As she emerged from the thorns, Akira saw the wolves approaching. They were large and fierce, with sharp teeth and powerful muscles. But Akira did not cower before them. She stood her ground and met their gaze with her own determined expression. "Why are you here?" the leader of the pack growled. "I have come to claim my destiny as a nine-tailed fox," Akira replied calmly. The wolves snarled and circled around her, their eyes fixed on her every move. But Akira did not back down. She drew on her own inner strength and summoned a powerful energy that pulsed through her body. Suddenly, her 9 foxtails began to glow with a bright, shimmering light. The wolves hesitated, taken aback by the sudden surge of power. But Akira did not give them a chance to recover. She darted past them and plunged into the river, the currents tugging at her body. But she was strong and determined, and she knew that she could overcome any obstacle. As she swam across the river, Akira felt a sense of peace wash over her. She knew that she was on the right path, that she was following her true calling as a nine-tailed fox. She emerged from the river on the other side, her dress and fur soaked, but her eyes shining with a fierce determination. Ahead of her lay the heart of the plain, the source of her power as a nine-tailed fox. She could feel the energy pulsing through the. "Hello, little one," said the fox girl with a gentle smile. The young boy was stunned. He had never seen anything like her before. Her bright red hair cascaded down her back in wild curls, and her 9 tails swished back and forth behind her. She wore an intricately detailed dress, adorned with jewels and sparkling gems that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. And those eyes, he thought to himself, those brilliant red eyes that seemed to glow like embers. "Who are you?" he asked, unable to take his eyes off her. The fox girl chuckled. "I am Yumi, and I come from the Fox Kingdom." "And you, little one?" "I'm Taro," he replied, still feeling a bit dazed. "Taro," Yumi repeated thoughtfully. "I like that name. It suits you." Taro felt his cheeks warm at the compliment. Thank you," he stammered. Yumi gestured to the forest around them. "What brings you out here, Taro?" I was looking for something," Taro replied vaguely. Yumi raised an eyebrow. "What sort of thing?" Taro hesitated for a moment before speaking. I lost something. Something very important to me." Yumi nodded sympathetically. "I understand. I have lost many things in my time. But don't worry, Taro. If it's out here, we'll find it together." And with that, Yumi took Taro by the hand and led him deeper into the forest. As they walked, Yumi told Taro stories of her adventures in the Fox Kingdom. She spoke of battles with other clans and journeys to far-off lands. Taro listened with rapt attention, hanging on every word. Before he knew it, they had reached a clearing. In the center of the clearing stood a small tree, its leaves rustling in the breeze. Taro gasped. "That's it. That's what I was looking for." Yumi smiled. Well, then let's go get it. Together, they made their way over to the tree. Taro reached out to grab what he had been searching for, but as his hand closed around it, he felt a sharp pain shoot through his arm. He cried out in pain, but Yumi was quick to react. She grabbed Taro's hand and examined it closely. "It's a thorn," she said, her brow furrowed. "A cursed thorn." Taro's heart sank. Cursed? What does that mean? Yumi's eyes narrowed. "It means that we need to get you back to the Fox Kingdom, and fast. If we don't get this thorn out of you, it could be fatal." Taro felt a wave of panic wash over him. But how are we going to get there? It's so far away." Yumi grinned. "Leave that to me." With that, she took Taro's hand once more and led him back through the forest. They moved quickly, the wind whipping through their hair as they ran. When they finally arrived at the edge of the forest, Taro was out of breath and his legs felt like jelly. But Yumi showed no signs of fatigue. She pulled him along as she ran through the fields and over hills until they finally reached a towering mountain in the distance. "This is it," Yumi said, a fierce determination in her eyes. "The Fox Kingdom." Taro looked up at the mountain in awe. It was unlike anything he had ever seen before. The rocks and stones seemed to glow with an inner light, and there were intricate carvings etched into them. As they walked, the group noticed that the forest was growing denser and darker, and they had to rely on the fox girl's brilliant red eyes to see. They soon came across a small clearing, and in the center stood a magnificent tree with golden leaves. The fox girl stopped in front of the tree and turned to face the group. "This is it," she said, her voice filled with determination. "The Tree of Life." The group looked at the tree in awe, its golden leaves shimmering in the faint light of the clearing. "We need to find the key," the fox girl continued. "It's hidden somewhere in this forest. We have to hurry before it's too late." The group set off again, searching for the key. They searched for hours, but to no avail. They were tired, hungry, and starting to lose hope. Suddenly, they heard a faint sound, like the tinkling of a bell. They followed the sound and soon came across a small stream. In the center of the stream was a small island, and on the island stood a tiny cottage. Without a word, the fox girl led the group to the cottage. They knocked on the door, and an old woman answered. "Please, we need your help," the fox girl said. "We're searching for the key to the Tree of Life." The old woman smiled and invited the group inside. She served them tea and told them stories about the forest and its secrets. As they sat and listened, the group realized that they had been rushing too much. They had been so focused on finding the key that they had forgotten to enjoy the journey. The fox girl thanked the old woman for her hospitality, and the group set off again, feeling refreshed and rejuvenated. They searched for the key, but this time, they took their time. They explored every nook and cranny of the forest, and as they did, they discovered the beauty and wonder of the forest. Finally, they found the key hidden under a rock by the stream. The fox girl took the key and led the group back to the Tree of Life. She inserted the key into the tree, and it started to glow with a bright light. As the light faded, the group saw that the forest had changed. It was no longer dark and foreboding, but bright and vibrant. Flowers bloomed, birds sang, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of spring. The fox girl smiled, her brilliant red eyes shining in the sunlight. "We did it," she said. "We saved the forest." The group hugged each other, feeling grateful and proud of what they had accomplished. As they made their way back to the village, they knew that their lives had been forever changed by the journey they had taken. They had learned the importance of patience, determination, and most importantly, the power of friendship. Thank you for joining us on this enchanting journey through the magical forest with Midnight Murmurs. We hope you enjoyed the story of the cute 12-year-old fox girl with 9 tails and her journey of self-discovery. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories and immersive experiences in the world of fairy tales and folklore. And if you have any suggestions or requests for future videos, feel free to leave them in the comments below. We love hearing from our audience and can't wait to bring you more magical adventures. Until next time, keep dreaming and creating.